Coming up tonight, Jackie and I speak to the CEO of the Loeries, Andrew Human, about the 32nd annual awards this year. And later on in the show, strategist from Nota Bene, Wayne Bishop, gives us some more insight into branded entertainment.
And I'll be looking into the goodie bag for this year's SAMA Awards with Alex Leibner. And Andrew Human sticks around as our guest host for this week.
Well, it's been touted as the biggest event of the year, and it brings together the most creative minds in advertising. The Loeries Awards has evolved over the years and continues to highlight the very best in the business. Loeries CEO Andrew Human joins us to take this further. Andrew, good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Finley.
Well, firstly, why so many changes this year?
Well, actually, one of the main role of the Loeries is to recognize creative excellence. And really what we're talking about with creative excellence is creativity, which means being new and being innovative. So in fact, for us to do that, we always have to stay on the tip of what's happening. So advertising is changing so rapidly at the moment with different media and new media innovations. So we continually make changes to our categories to allow for the media changes that are occurring.
Yeah, but how different is that going to be from last year?
Well, every year, so it's dependent on what happens. So for example, this year we've brought in a change in our judging criteria where in the past we've had 5 criteria. So we judge work. First of all, we say, is it innovative? So that's the key thing, saying, what have you done that's new, that's changed the way things can be done? And then we look at the quality. We say, what's the quality of your execution? And then relevance. Is it relevant to the brand? Is it relevant to the target audience? And is it relevant to the chosen medium? And this year we've added in a new criteria that says the entry must have a client that's independent from the agency to be considered for gold, which what that means is self-promotional work can only get up to silver. So what that is just a raising of the bar. It's making that gold Loerie on the highest level in terms of difficulty to receive.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, wouldn't you agree with me that innovation to everyone is very different? It's rather vast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how exactly are you judging what innovation is or innovative is?
That's, again, it's a good question, but it's not that difficult in a sense. So I think what's very important in anything like an award is saying how or who are the judges. So we put together panels of specialists for every category. So in fact, we have over 130 judges involved, and we bring out international specialists to be the chairpersons. So specifically to avoid bias, because we're a local award, you have a lot of vested interest from the judging panel. So to make sure, so we have a neutral chairman who oversees all of the decisions in terms of the final awards being handed out. And then your panel of experts, they come from the field. So you're saying to them, in your experience, as an expert, as a leader in this field, is this innovative? So that is the key thing. It's like if you have a sore tooth, you can go to 5 dentists and say, what do you think I should do about my tooth? Or you can go to an electrician and a plumber and a mechanic. and that's the difficulty with saying, what does the general public think? And if you have a sore tooth, you shouldn't go to the general public. And in the same way, when we look at media and brand communication, we take an expert opinion and we say, in your opinion, is this new? Is this being innovative?
Andrew, there's also a drive now for entries from Africa and the Middle East. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, the Loeries is a regional award. So what that means is it's only open to Africa and the Middle East. And it has to be work that has been conceived and produced in our region. So it's not about where it flighted. So for example, if you're watching television and you see an ad, here that ad may have been produced internationally. So that's not what we are looking at. So we
locally produced.
So we want to be a showcase to say, this region, this is the great work that's coming out of the region. So there's a lot of international work even being done here. So agencies that produce work here for a European client, that can be entered in our awards. So it's not about what's been seen here, but it's about the creativity that stems from the region.
Your thought on the Apex Awards versus Loeries, whereas the Loeries is very much on creativity and Apex looks at measuring effectiveness. Give us your thoughts on the two and the industry, how the industry, you know, looks at that.
Again, I think the Apex is a very important award, and it's a great award. If you, the key thing is we look at, when you say creativity, is we look at innovation. So it's when you look at the little details where you see why there's actually, I think both awards are very necessary. Our deadline for entry is 31st of May this year. So work that, TV ad that flights on the 31st of May can be entered in the Loeries. So it's very new work. Whereas the Apex work then says, prove to us, show us results, not show us different thinking. Because again, if you look at our judging criteria, we have a presumed effectiveness. So we're saying any agency who starts out, your aim should be to be innovative, your aim should be to do great quality work, and your aim should be to be relevant to the brand and the target audience and the medium. That's what you set out to do.
Right.
If you achieve all of that, you are aiming to be effective. So ours is about an aim to be effective, and the Apex says we want to see results.
It's measuring the effectiveness.
So their work is basically a year older than the Loeries, and in fact there have been, if you look at results, you'll see they correlate very well. So in the last couple of years, the Loerie Gold and Grand Prix winners have all been winners in the Apex Awards. And that's what we want to see. So it's not a question. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to be creative, I want to be effective. But the reality is we're saying exactly the same thing. We're saying, how are you going to start out aiming to be effective? And no one starts a campaign saying, right, these are the measurables that we must meet. You start out by saying, we must be innovative, and we must do good quality work, and we must be relevant.
Yeah, well, that's
your starting point.
That's the thing with creatives. It's very hard to measure. It's all very subjective at the end of the day. Yeah.
Well, you get, again, it's not that people need to hide. Again, we're not fine art. So we're not promoting fine art. So there's no need to hide behind a thing of saying, oh, we can't be measured. For example, one of the, I don't know, you may have seen the Sony Bravia international commercial with all the little bouncing balls. And that commercial was awarded as the most awarded commercial in the year, 2 years ago. And so it was on all the creative awards, it was awarded across the world. When that campaign launched, every single Sony Bravia TV set was sold within 2 weeks of the campaign launch in the UK.
That's when you know they've done great work. Absolutely.
So there's not a disjoint between saying, oh, but I want to, that is a creative ad that has sold TV sets. And that is always the aim. Nobody should be aiming to say, oh, this is just creative, we're not aiming to sell anything here. Any advertising agency must be selling their clients' products.
Must be, I think, is the key word. Because don't you think some agencies are, you know, number one is to win an award?
All right, Andrew, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your insight, and you obviously will join us again a little bit later.